There are moments in life when everything around us seems to scream defeat. The walls close in, the noise of doubt is deafening, and every step forward feels like dragging the weight of 1,000 past mistakes. It's in these moments that people often believe this is it. That their current reality is who they are, that their pain defines them, and that their past has written the ending of their story. But nothing could be further from the truth. A person's current circumstance is nothing more than a reflection of past thoughts, past beliefs, and past choices. It is not a life sentence. It is not a definition of self-worth, and it is certainly not the final chapter of your life. Take the story of the homeless girl. She had no shelter, no family, no comfort, and yet deep within her, there was a quiet knowing. A flicker that refused to go out. She didn't have luxury. She didn't have a bank account. She didn't even have the certainty of her next meal. But what she did have was an awareness that this moment, this suffering, this lack, it was all temporary. She never allowed her condition to become her identity. She walked with dignity, even when the world passed her by like she was invisible. That's power. That's the power of understanding that you are not your situation. Too many people accept their circumstances as permanent fixtures in their lives. They settle. They adapt to misery as if it's their fate. They convince themselves that suffering is their destiny, that the struggle is part of their DNA. But that's not truth, that's programming. Most people were taught limitation, not freedom. They were told to be realistic, not to dream too big, to be content with less. So when life throws a storm, they take cover and wait for it to pass, never realizing they can command the weather from within. But this girl chose to believe something different. She chose not to see herself as broken. She chose not to let her reflection in a shop window, dirty, tired, and worn, determine how she saw her soul. She understood something most people forget: circumstances are effects, not causes. They are the result of old thoughts manifesting in physical form. And when you change your thinking, the world around you must eventually shift to match it. She started small, not with actions, but with thoughts. Every morning, she sat by herself, closed her eyes, and imagined a new life. Not one of riches and wealth necessarily, but one of peace, love, and dignity. She saw herself clean, smiling, cared for. She imagined walking into rooms where she was respected. She imagined someone seeing her, really seeing her, and recognizing the treasure within her heart. She held on to that vision, even when her stomach growled and her shoes had holes. And slowly, those visions began to take root. She didn't wait to be loved to feel worthy. She didn't wait to be rescued to believe she mattered. She became the source of her own love, her own comfort, her own validation. The world didn't give it to her. She gave it to herself. And that decision, that shift in perception, changed the course of her life. Because the moment you stop identifying with your current condition and begin identifying with who you really are, your energy changes. And when your energy changes, everything around you starts to respond. She met the man who would fall in love with her not because she was trying to be something she wasn't, but because she was already everything she needed to be. He didn't fall for her appearance or her status. He fell for her light. A light that wasn't defined by her situation, but by her spirit. She was magnetic because she believed in herself. When no one else did, she was radiant because she had already fallen in love with who she was becoming. Your reality right now may be full of hardship. You might be surrounded by fear, doubt, or even shame. You might feel like you've been forgotten. But none of that is who you are. Your current circumstance is just a canvas. and you are the painter. The brushes are in your thoughts. The colors are in your beliefs. If you want a new life, you must start by imagining it. Not once, not twice, but relentlessly, until the image in your mind becomes stronger than the images around you. Until your inner world becomes so vivid, so alive, that it overpowers the weight of the present. That's how transformation begins. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not your mistakes or your failures or your fears. You are potential in motion, and potential doesn't ask for permission. It asks for belief. The same way that girl believed. Even when the world gave her every reason not to, she chose to believe anyway. And that belief carried her. It didn't give her riches overnight, but it gave her something far more powerful, the ability to rise, to radiate, to become undeniable. We live in a world that worships the external. Status, appearance, wealth, possessions. These are the symbols society teaches us to chase. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that our value comes from how much we have, or how impressive we appear to be in the eyes of others. But the truth is, real power doesn't live in the things you can show. It lives in what you know about yourself when no one is watching. The rich man didn't fall for the homeless girl because she fit some idea of success or perfection. He didn't love her because she had money, or wore designer clothes, or had followers on social media. He loved her because her presence was undeniable. She carried something so rare in today's world: authentic, unshakable inner worth. And that kind of energy doesn't just attract love. It transforms everything. When a person knows their worth, not in an arrogant, loud way, but in a quiet, grounded way, they become magnetic. You can't fake that. It's not something you can buy or learn in a weekend seminar. It's something you build from the inside out. And that's exactly what the girl had done. Life had stripped her of everything: her home, her comfort, even the basic securities that most people take for granted. But it never touched her spirit. She refused to let the loss of material things turn into a loss of self-respect. She refused to see herself as lesser, even when the world looked at her with pity or ignored her altogether. That refusal, that choice to maintain dignity, when she had every reason to give it up, was her greatest power. It radiated from her, even in silence. She walked differently. She spoke with intention. She listened with her whole heart. She didn't try to impress, because she didn't need to. She wasn't pretending to be anything. That kind of realness is rare. And the rich man, for all his success, had probably never experienced that level of genuine energy before. The world he came from was full of surface-level connections. People chasing validation, wearing masks, hiding their fears behind money or titles. So when he met her, someone who had nothing, but carried herself like she had everything, it shook something loose inside of him. Love is not about finding someone who checks all the boxes. It's about resonance. It's about energy. We're drawn to people who remind us of the truth we've forgotten. The part of us that's deeper than success, richer than money, and more beautiful than appearances. That's what the girl represented. She was living proof that worth is not something given to you by society. It's something you decide, something you claim, and something you carry even when the world tells you you're nothing. Especially then. The tragedy is that most people are walking around with wealth they don't even know they have. They've buried it under guilt, shame, failure, or rejection. They've convinced themselves they're not enough because someone told them so, or because they've been abandoned, or because life didn't go according to plan. But your worth was never up for negotiation. It doesn't increase when people love you. and it doesn't decrease when they don't. It simply is. And the moment you start owning that, not begging for it, not proving it, just owning it, the world begins to shift. The girl didn't chase the rich man. She didn't try to impress him or act like someone she wasn't. She didn't shrink to make him feel comfortable or exaggerate to seem more appealing. She showed up as herself. Raw, real, and present. And that's what made her unforgettable. She wasn't loud, but she was undeniable. Her energy spoke louder than words. It told a story of resilience, of quiet power, of a person who had gone through the fire and come out gold. Inner worth is the one thing that can't be taken away. Unless you give it up yourself. You can lose your job, your status, your home, even people you love. But if you keep your belief in yourself intact, you still have the foundation to rebuild anything. That's what this girl had. She was rich in the ways that matter most. In character, in heart, in belief. And when someone is rich on the inside, they can never stay poor for long on the outside. Life eventually rises to meet them. She didn't sit around waiting to be rescued. She had already rescued herself. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She had already done the work of healing the relationship with the most important person she would ever know, herself. And when the rich man entered her life, he wasn't saving her. He was meeting her at the level of energy she had already been living in. Love, truth, value. The real version of wealth. People think love is about being chosen. But real love, lasting, deep, soul, level love, is about being recognized. And you can't be recognized until you've recognized yourself first. The girl wasn't looking for love. She was living it. She loved herself through the pain, through the hunger, through the loneliness. And that kind of love doesn't need to beg, or chase, or perform. It simply is. And it always finds its way into the hearts of those who can finally see what truly matters. Everything begins with a thought. Before any action, any decision, any change, there is a thought. Yet most people spend their entire lives reacting to what they see outside of them, never realizing that their inner world is the source of everything they experience. The homeless girl didn't change her life by waiting for someone to hand her a miracle. She didn't wait for the perfect moment or the right opportunity to feel differently. She began where all transformation starts. In her mind. She learned to shift her thinking, even when everything around her screamed failure. That shift was the seed of her new life, the foundation on which everything else would be built. Negative feelings don't come from situations. They come from interpretations. Two people can go through the exact same event and walk away with completely different emotions. Why? Because it's not the event itself that causes pain or fear. It's the meaning you give it. The girl was homeless, but she didn't see herself as worthless. She had no possessions, but she didn't think she had nothing to offer. That wasn't denial. That was discipline. She had trained her mind to see possibility where others saw lack. She had rewired her perspective, so that hope was no longer dependent on external outcomes. And that gave her power that no one could take away. Every day, people wake up and immediately repeat the thoughts of yesterday. They worry, they doubt, they replay painful memories, and they reinforce old identities. Without realizing it, they are programming themselves to stay stuck. They are locking themselves into the very patterns they want to escape. Change doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. And that intention begins with thought. The girl understood this. She couldn't control the weather. She couldn't control how others treated her. But she could control the way she responded. She could choose to hold thoughts that nourished her instead of ones that tore her down. She didn't pretend everything was okay. She chose to focus on what she could build. She would sit quietly, even amid noise and discomfort, and imagine a version of herself that was free, fulfilled, and loved. Not someday, now. In her mind, she was already there. She visualized herself clean, strong, walking confidently, speaking to others with warmth and presence. She imagined being seen and appreciated. She imagined love finding her, not because she chased it, but because she radiated it. And the more she practiced these thoughts, the more real they became. Her circumstances didn't change overnight, but her experience did. Because, when you change the lens you're looking through, the world looks different. Even if it's the same street, the same sky, the same challenges. This is what most people get wrong. They try to change their life from the outside in. They try to fix circumstances while still thinking the same fearful, limited thoughts. But lasting change doesn't work that way. You can't create freedom from a mindset of bondage. You can't build love from a place of self-hate. You can't experience peace when your mind is addicted to chaos. The girl began her transformation by refusing to entertain thoughts that didn't serve her. Every time a thought told her she was worthless, she questioned it. Every time a thought told her she'd never be loved, she replaced it. She didn't let the thought complete its story. She rewrote it. Over time, this became her new normal. She didn't just think positively once in a while. She committed to thinking in alignment with her vision. That's the difference. She didn't dabble in self-belief. She lived in it. And because of that, she started to feel different. Her energy shifted. Her posture changed. Her eyes held a new light. And that shift, though invisible to most, was undeniable to someone who could see. The rich man didn't fall for her because of her past or her pain. He fell because of her presence. And presence is the result of clarity. Clarity born from consistent, intentional thinking. It's easy to drown in negative feelings when all you do is replay what's wrong. The mind is like a garden, and most people have let weeds grow wild for years. But weeds don't disappear by themselves. You have to pull them out and plant new seeds. Thoughts of strength, hope, love, dignity. And those seeds don't sprout in a day. But if you water them, if you nurture them, if you return to them, even when nothing seems to be changing, they grow. That's what the girl did. She made a decision that her inner world would not be a reflection of her homelessness, but of her wholeness. And that decision gave her peace long before she had stability. She didn't suppress negative feelings. She outgrew them. She built a new framework of thought so strong that those feelings couldn't survive in it. She created a mental environment where love could live, and that inner environment became the magnet for everything that followed. The rich man was drawn to her because she was already living in a state of emotional wealth. He felt it before he understood it. That's the power of a transformed mind. It doesn't beg for change. It attracts it. It doesn't fight the old. It creates the new. And once the new becomes familiar, the old loses all its grip. Love is not just a feeling, not just an emotion or a romantic idea. It is energy. It's a vibration, a frequency, and it lives in every choice you make, every thought you think, and every intention you carry. Most people misunderstand love. They think it's something that comes from someone else. They chase it, beg for it, wait for it, like it's a prize that must be earned, or a gift that only the lucky receive. But real love, the kind that changes lives and transforms people, is not found outside of you. It's generated from within. It's a state of being. And energy, when it's pure and aligned, always obeys intention. The girl who once had no home, no safety, and no material comfort didn't attract love because of luck or charity. She didn't manipulate her way into someone's heart. She became love long before anyone ever gave it to her. She lived in that vibration. She spoke from that place. She chose, moment after moment, to act in alignment with the kind of person she wanted to be, not the kind the world had tried to convince her she was. That's why her energy was so powerful. That's why people noticed her. That's why the man who had everything was captivated by someone who appeared, on the surface, to have nothing. He didn't fall in love with her situation. He fell in love with her frequency. The world we live in is a mirror. It doesn't give us what we want. It gives us who we are. If you're full of fear, you attract more fear. If you believe you're unworthy, life reflects that belief back to you in your relationships, your career, your finances, even your health. But when you become aligned with love, real love, unconditional love, not just for others, but for yourself, the entire mirror begins to shift. You start drawing in people and experiences that match your new energy. You no longer have to chase anything. What's meant for you begins to find you. The girl understood this in a way most people never will. She didn't wait until her life changed to feel love. She didn't wait until someone validated her or picked her or praised her. She gave that love to herself first. And not in a surface level, self-help kind of way, but in a deep, cellular way. She forgave herself. She spoke kindly to herself. She stopped repeating the old stories of abandonment and shame. She decided that she was lovable, not because anyone said so, but because she was, just as she was. No makeup, no titles, no applause. Just a soul, awake and aware. She carried that energy with her, even in silence, even when no one was looking. And people could feel it. The rich man didn't fall for her words. He fell for the peace in her eyes, the warmth in her presence, the way she made a room feel safe without even trying. That kind of presence doesn't come from status. It comes from intention. She had made a decision to be love, even when life had shown her very little of it. And that decision changed everything. We're taught to believe that love is something scarce, that it's a reward for being perfect or pleasing. But love is not limited. It is infinite. It's the most abundant energy in the universe. But you can only receive it in the measure that you believe you deserve it. And deserving has nothing to do with your past. It has everything to do with your present state of being. The girl didn't carry resentment. She didn't let bitterness poison her heart. She didn't use her pain as a weapon. She transmuted it. She took the hurt and turned it into healing. She took the rejection and turned it into compassion. She took the silence and turned it into stillness. That kind of inner work creates an energetic field, so strong that it starts pulling in everything that matches it. The rich man, for all his wealth and success, may have been surrounded by people who wanted things from him. But this girl didn't need anything from him. She was full already. And that fullness was unfamiliar, beautiful, but unfamiliar. She wasn't trying to impress. She wasn't trying to convince. She wasn't trying to be chosen. She simply existed in a state of emotional richness, and that state was irresistible, because true love, the kind that leaves an imprint, is not loud or flashy. It's quiet. It's present. It sees without judgment. It holds without fear. It accepts without condition. And when someone lives in that state consistently, they don't just attract love, they amplify it. They lift others into that same frequency. That's what she did. Without saying a word, she invited others to rise to her energy. She gave people permission to soften, to trust, to open. And that, more than anything, is why love found her. Not because she went looking, but because she became the very thing she once longed for. And energy, real energy, cannot be denied. It finds its match. It follows intention. It moves through time, through space, through all obstacles. It always returns home to the one who lives in alignment with it.